me. That's right. I'm back. After a long hiatus, I'm back. A few test runs, a few shenanigans, yet I'm back. Thank God. Welcome to the Narrative Off the Cuff with Elite News and Daryl Blair. Let's just get right to it. I want to speak this week on the upcoming primaries in March for our local elections. Matter of fact, all of our elections, national, the whole 9 yards, with regards to our party candidates, from the Republican Party to the Democratic Party. But to you, most of those who are my viewers, I'm going to speak to the Democratic Party. On a local level, the March primaries are coming up. And while I was at a Democratic picnic on the other day, I happened to see a number of people who were running for public office here in Dallas County who were transplants as recent as 3 and 4, 5 years ago. And they want to run for public office. Let me say this, just because you are qualified on paper does not make you qualified to be of service to the public. And what I'm finding is that you're coming into a climate, an element, into an environment, into a city, into a different culture of these people, a different culture. You're coming here to try and represent when you have no historical knowledge. I want those of you who are civic-minded citizens and who are engaged in the voting process to recognize that you have to be very good stewards of your vote. You have to be judicious with your vote. These people running for office are not qualified. They're not qualified. And they're running simply because they can fill the paper out and check the box. But they don't feel people. They don't check the community. Know that. It's tragic. They don't know the historical markers in our community, in our city, and yet they want to run for public office. They have no awareness about who you are, or your culture, or the given community you're raised in. It matters. It matters. And if you don't take those things into consideration and look at some of these jokes, unfit candidates, perpetrators, then we're in for a rude awakening. You already see it. The next thing I want to tell you about local is get registered. There are some things happening locally, statewide, and nationally. As these things line up, you're going to recognize that you talk about your one vote don't count, you better make it count. Even in a loss, your vote counts. Numbers matter. Numbers matter. Get registered to vote. All of those who own government programs and government subsidies, you better get registered to vote and vote. Let me tell you something. The state of Texas has the largest minority African American population in the country. In the country. There is no way this should be a Republican-led state unless it's some Negroes going in the voters booth and closing their curtain or hovering over their screen and hitting something for Republicans. And some have done that. Oh yeah, there are those out there. But the tragedy is, there are a lot of us who don't vote, and they depend on the very system that we're voting to sustain or to remove, or individuals. So until they start getting put out of their housing, The food stamps are taken, their government subsidies are taken from them. Then they'll cry and they'll talk about how bad things are. But when the eviction rate goes up and the hunger rate soars and the homelessness goes up, then you'll recognize, because you'll be one of those numbers. You better get registered and get involved. On the state level, they got new legislation taking place. They did all the redistricting. You know why? Because the voting numbers weren't there. And what they want to do is take what little numbers that they did divide up and divvy up, put them over there for the Republicans. They cut those districts. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't feel bad. You can call me if you want to. I don't feel bad at all for Mark Vesey. He's stiff, starch collar, uninvolved. I've had the opportunity to have lunch with him. I've talked to him. He is as disassociated this community, or any community for that matter, as anyone knows. He hadn't come out of the shadows until they start talking about cutting up his district. Now you want to lead protests and press conferences. Other than that, he's standing in the back. You're a college degree man. You from Yale, Harvard, wherever you went to school. You can go walk in the corporate structure. I know you to put you some deals together, some consulting or something. I'm not hurt for your loss. And I think that it would serve as a wake-up call to us who are just going with the status quo. We could keep electing people on a local, state, national level who are ineffective or who've been there too long, and it's time for a new vision and a new strategy. The Democratic Party, they got a strategy. They just don't have no results. They got a strategy, but no results. And until we wake up and bring some new energy and appeal to the base, Democrats better get a dog whistle. That's what's happening on the state level. The next thing you know that they're going to do is come in and they're trying to take Fort Worth ISD. They've taken Houston. It's going to be a takeover from the Texas Education Agency, where they're going to take school systems over. Fortunately, Dallas has been able to hold serve because they have been productive and they're producing. And we have to keep that encouraged. They're pushing our public school dollars out to private schools. It's because some of our legislators have voted to allow for all of these charter schools to pop in. Personally, on a personal level, I feel like charter schools are warehouses. Children's warehouses. I'd like to challenge the academia of students graduating honors in charter schools versus students graduating honors in public schools. I like to try that. And tell me what the success rate is. That's just for food for thought. These things are happening to us because we're too busy entertaining, getting involved with things that are not congruent to our growth and our productivity in life and society. Of course, we got it better in this life and in these days than we had it in the 40s and 50s, but we had togetherness then. Now, Negroes live in the same lavish communities, drive the lavish cars, go to the nice schools, part of the country club. But we have really lost our way. We've become so engaged in other communities and other cultures that we've lost our way with our own. We don't celebrate our own day, Juneteenth. I saw more 4th of July tickets than I saw Juneteenth tickets. And that was the day we were emancipated. I try to understand. But it's because you don't get involved. You don't get involved. There's another thought I have there, but it eludes me at the time. So now I'm gonna move on to the national scene. The National Guard is in D.C. They're gonna go to Chicago. They need to go to Chicago, and they're gonna head to New Orleans. I'm bothered because while you're going to blue states and blue cities, I'd like to see you go to red states and red cities. And I say this because Black Lives Matter? Man, get out of here. Black Lives Matter? It was just, what do they call it in the rap? What they call it in the rap game? When you, it was a hook. Yeah, it was a hook. Black Lives Matter wasn't nothing but a hook. We got these Negroes who run around and they pray for indifference and racial division so that they can continue to make money. Sharpton, Jesse, he's in a wheelchair now. Crump, go get me somebody who wants to go talk about Black Lives Matter with all of the black on black killers in Chicago, Memphis, Dallas, Houston, Jackson, Mississippi, New Orleans. Black Lives Matter? Only when white folks kill us. We've been killing each other forever. Black lives ought to really matter. You ought to really have a snowball effect when it comes to black on black crime. Nobody's saying anything. Black lives don't matter then? Man, wake up. It's really sad. Nobody wants to voice this when it's black on black crime. I believe the National Guard needs to go to Chicago. I despise Trump, but I applaud this. Black lives only matter when it was George Floyd, Breonna Taylor. Some of those nameless kids and individuals who died in the streets of these large cities around America, they matter to their families, whether they were Exxon Negroes or whether they were not. If they were just regular Joes, they mattered. If they were homeless, they mattered. And yet they're dead. Nobody speaks for them. Nobody speaks to the narrative of black on black crime. Own your... I'm not going to be on here long. I'm going to close, but now they're getting into vaccines and vaccinations. Vaccines and vaccinations. You know you need them. You know you got certain health issues. Let me encourage you to get them. Don't let the fact that they've taken a mandate away stop you from getting yours. Don't buy into that narrative. You watch how much sickness and disease breaks out in Florida, and it starts affecting those kids whose parents applauded no more vaccination. You don't have to. It's needed. It is power society. I want to tell you that as African Americans in this country, why are we always getting diverted or our attention our attention is being diverted to something else. All this you see coming out of Washington and coming from the Trump administration is simply not a dog whistle, but it's a wag the tail over here while they get everything accomplished over here. Your attention is being diverted. He comes up with one zany thing after another, simply to divert the public, the greater public's attention. You go focus on that, and here we are. They were chasing the fact that he was dead the other day. Really? Come on, man. He was dead and it's been all over the news. But it was something, and then they dedicated 30 minutes to it on Gene Psaki's show on one of these TV shows, news stations. I want news, I don't want opinion. If I look at the news, I want to get the news, the raw news, raw and uncut. I don't want opinion. Republican, Democrat, left, right, doesn't matter. I just want the facts. I want to tell you that African Americans have always survived any obstacles that have been put before us. We started out in slavery. We come out of slavery, we come out of uncertainty, into uncertainty coming out of slavery. Yeah, it was the Negroes who was released, didn't want to leave the farm because they didn't know nothing else to do. That's all they ever knew. The world was too challenging. It was too daunting. And yet, we have overcome one obstacle after another. We didn't have voting rights at one time. We got those, and we still fighting for them, but we got it. Had to pay poll tax. All of the things that every obstacle they've put before us, we've overcome them. Pretty soon they're going to run out, and the fact is, the numbers, the margins they're losing the margins. Caucasians, they will take Caucasian children at any rate, any way they get here. By rape, by incest, it doesn't matter. That's where that abortion, man, they want numbers back up. They want a pure Caucasian race. It's not gonna happen. That day is over. They're beginning to be outnumbered. That's the push for immigration. It's not that they're burdening the system, it's that they're coming in and they're multiplying and their numbers are being outweighed. African Americans have overcome things time and time again, and we will continue to, because we have the strength and we have the grit to survive, conquer, and continue to thrive and accomplish. It's in us. It's in our DNA. And finally, you know, for all of you individuals who time and time again spend your money, your time, your energies, and your efforts during football season to cheer for the Dallas Cowboys, that is really a sad and tragic relationship. You all need to file the biggest class action lawsuit that anyone has ever seen. What's taking place with you all, Bernie Madoff couldn't pull off. And Bernie Madoff made millions and millions. You all are being hoodwinked, bamboozled, you're being swindled of your hopes, your dreams, your aspirations for a team to win another Super Bowl. It will never happen. And then the fact that you're not cared about, and then y'all sitting up here worried about how much money Dak get paid, how much money CD get paid, how much money they should have paid Micah Parsons, and some of y'all are working by the hour for minimum wage. And I'm not knocking you because at least it's an earnest wage. But why squander what you have on what's not yours? The Dallas Cowboys, you go spy all this gear, you cheering, you hollering, you get mad There are relationships that are falling apart because one person's not a Cowboy fan and you are. They're not gonna win, man. You know it. I'm gonna close with a little story. There was a man who had a parrot, and his wife would get up every morning to fix him breakfast, and the parrot's cage was in the kitchen. So every morning the wife come down to cook, whether it was breakfast, lunch, or dinner. The wife would come down to cook, and the parrot would sit up in the cage and go, "You ugly." And the woman would look, and the parrot would repeat it again, "You ugly, ugly." She'd look at him, and he'd look at her, "Ugly." So finally one day she went to her husband. She said, "Baby, I can't take that parrot no more. One day you're gonna look up and you're gonna think that's chicken. Cause I'm gonna put that parrot in some hot grease and go fry it for you. Cause that parrot keep calling me ugly." Her husband said, "What, baby?" She said, "Yeah, the parrot." He said, "Okay, I'll deal with it." He goes in, talks to the parrot, tells the parrot, "Hey, look, you can't keep calling her ugly. She don't like that. She's angry, and she said she was gonna fry you. So you need to stop calling her ugly. Don't say that to her no more. Do you understand me?" Parrot nodded his head. Finally, the next day, she come back down to fix breakfast, and she standing over there. She look at the parrot looking at her. She look at the parrot looking at her. Finally, she nod her head like, you better not say that. The parrot simply beckoned back to her. You know. Cowboy fans, you know. It's gonna be an ugly season. God bless and God keep is my prayer. You know what I want you to do until the next time? Get it on your mind.